Yo, what is going on, guys? J.Yumeko here, and today we're back with some more Katawa Shoujo. This is the 5th recording session of one day, and last time we left off, Emmy, she obviously lost the ability to use her prosthetics for a couple of weeks, just to let her leg heal, because she actually did end up having an infection, but that didn't stop us from having sex, so yeah, that happened. I don't have the mental capacity to think about that anymore, so let's just go right back into it. The sunlight breaks through my window shortly before my alarm ruins the morning silence. I feel sore. The events of the previous evening suddenly interlude upon my consciousness, and I find myself blushing. That was an eventful evening, and explains perfectly the soreness in my lower back. The walk back, as I recall, had been rather tense. My trousers having been soiled. I had washed them off in the bathroom before going back to my room, but there was still a fairly obvious-looking stain on the front. Fortunately for me, the only person I ran into on my way back was Kenji, and he didn't notice a thing. Well, apart from my being in the general vicinity. Of course, he'd ask how the night went and whether or not I'd learned anything of importance. I don't even know if I opened my mouth to answer. I was too tired to care. And this morning, I'll admit I'm feeling pretty worn out. Still, Emmy had promised to meet me at the track, and I'd hate to disappoint. She is indeed waiting for me when I arrive, doing her best to look cheery despite the fact that she's sitting in a wheelchair. I wave to her and begin stretching. You're early. Emmy frowns and shakes her head.
Ridiculous! You're late. Overslept, you Sal? All tuckered out.
Well, at least she seems more like her old self. As expected, she doesn't seem that shy about mentioning our previous activities. Previous activities. Hey, you're lucky I could show up at all. All that cardiovascular activity last night, I nearly thought I'd have to see the nurse afterwards. Emmy laughs out loud, then her face suddenly becomes concerned.
Hey, that's not you're not...
Go on, spit it out.
It's just that it would be hard to explain it if you had an episode while we were...
Oh. Now that she mentions it, it really is a legitimate concern. I certainly haven't thought of it last night, of course. Other, more pressing concerns had been at hand. Well, I don't think anything we do is going to be any more of a stray than these morning runs, and I handle those fine, so... Emmy considers this point. A devious light appears in her eyes.
Say!
The light vanishes, and Emmy grins ruefully at me. I can't help but feel vaguely suspicious.
I seem to have forgotten a pair of gloves.
What do you need gloves for? Emmy indicates the chair upon which she's seated.
For this, of course. Sure, regularly moving around is all well and good without them, but I want to be able to get a good workout. And to get that kind of speed, you gotta have gloves if you don't want blisters.
So what? Are you wasn't out on me then? Do I have to go it alone? Emmy thinks for a moment, or pretends to think.
If I were right, there's a spare pair or two in the track shed.
So she does seriously want to do it then. But in her normal school uniform? I'd have expected her to wear her gym outfit for something like this. Wait, what are they doing there? Emmy looks askance at me. Come on, this is seriously, like you already know what's gonna happen, right? They're gonna go in there and have sex again.
Seriously? You can't think why a shed full of track supplies at a school for the disabled would have racing gloves?
Well, when she puts it that way, I suppose that makes perfect sense. Hey, I'm still getting used to this place. Give me a break, huh?
I guess I can let it slide this time. Now come on, I'll need your help.
Can't imagine what for, but then again, I don't have a clue why racing gloves would be in the shed, so I'm not willing to press the issue. Emmy navigates her way to the shed, and easily enough, though I can hear her grumbling under her breath, it's actually kind of cute. I hurry a little to reach the door first. Opening it would be easier for me than her. The door opens and Emmy starts to wheel and slide, only coming to a sudden halt at the doorway. It seems the door sill is slightly too high for her to get over by herself. She makes a few runs at it, unsuccessfully, before crossing her eyes and glaring at the offended objects.
Stupid wheelchair. Hey Sal, can you give me a hand over here?
Sure, no problem. It's a simple enough matter for me to bump Emmy over the doorway, jostling her slightly.
Hey, easy there.
Whoops, sorry. It's about this time that I fail to notice where I'm going and run Emmy's chair into a mat. She gives a startled yelp and topples forward out of her chair. There's a moment of silence as I gaze in horror upon what I've done, and Emmy glares at me.
Hey Sal.
Yeah?
Promise me you'll never work at a hospital.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. Emmy giggles and holds up a hand.
Would you kindly help me back into my chair, Hisao?
As I bend back down to pick Emmy up, she grins in triumph and pulls me into a kiss that quickly has us both entirely unconcerned about getting her back into the chair. In fact, as I move to face a more comfortable position, I confess that the chair is pushed out the door, which, startled by the passage, swings shut. I fucking knew it. And here we fucking go again. Oh my god. Sex fiends. Sheesh, man. Censoring so early into the video. Well, at least we've got privacy now, which is a good thing as my hands work quickly to remove Emmy's blouse and skirt. I'm startled to discover that she's forgotten to put her bra on today. Did she plan this? Her arms hook under mine and rest on my shoulders as I kiss my way down Emmy's neck, pausing to give special attention to a spot where the neck meets the shoulder that I'd found last night.
You've gotten pretty good at that.
I do try. Emmy pushes on my chest insistently, and I draw back with a puzzled expression.
I've got a confession, Hisao.
Oh? Having pulled back, I decide instead to focus my attention on her breasts. As she attempts to speak, her words are interspread with giggles that I find incredibly cute.
I don't actually... Whoa, wear gloves.
My own reply is rather mumbled onto her chest instead of being addressed to her face. Should have known. Words quickly become irrelevant. Emmy's movements are almost frantic, as if she's been holding something back since we met this morning, and now she has an outlet. I'm very nearly caught off guard by her aggressiveness, feeling her nearly rip my shirt off and the way she seems to vie to be in the dominant position. For my part, I confess that I'm caught up in her attitude as well, fighting back, rolling and wrestling even as I caress her breasts, even as her fingers dig into my shoulders and I lose track of where we are. So much so that I roll right off the mat and land on something small and rather hard. Ow! Emmy, still flushed and breathing a little heavily, peers at me and bursts into laughter.
I'm sorry. Are you alright?
Yeah, I think so. Not sure what I landed on though. I reach under my back and pull the offending object out, inspecting it closely. Personal lubricant, lemon flavored. Wait, what? Emmy's eyes shoot upward and she begins, if possible, to laugh even harder. Somehow, I don't think this isn't track related.
Oh man, I know whose that is.
What?
It's the track captain's.
Ah, my old nemesis. Or kind of. How'd you know it's his? It appears that I've asked a stupid question, or at least Emmy thinks so.
Because he's the one who told me the track shed was a good place for, what did he call them? Clandestine encounters.
Oh? He invited you to one or something? Emmy bursts into more laughter. I confess the sight of a naked Emmy laughing is oddly beautiful. I feel an eagerness to end conversation and get back to what we were doing, despite my rather pointed questioning.
Hisao, the track captain's gay.
Huh. What? Really? And here I initially thought you two were a couple.
Well, I did have a crush on him when I first joined up, but he wasn't interested. Obviously. But we were good friends, I guess. I mean, he told me about all this, you know?
I hesitate to ask. And really, I do. But I ask anyway. But what does he need the, lube for anyway? I mean, he doesn't, how the hell does Emmy always manage to not blush?
Obviously, he uses it for, you know, anal.
What the fuck did this become? What the fuck did this become? I feel like everything that I thought about this is being shredded. I thought this was gonna be like some heartwarming experience, but now all of a sudden we're just having fucking passionate sex every day. She's talking about anal. What the fuck happened? I try to suppress a snicker. I fail. Emmy's giggling too. And he tells you about this? Emmy shrugs.
Yeah, of course. He's kind of wild about the whole thing. He says it's a feeling that can't be beat.
Uh-huh. The air in the track shed seems charged with some kind of horrible curiosity. Oh no. I already know what's about to happen. That's interesting. I suppose I'll have to take his word for it.
Well...
Birds outside stop chirping. The wind dies down. Somewhere a man is drinking a cup of coffee. He freezes the cup at his lips.
We could maybe try it.
Yep. What the fuck? My jaw suddenly and spontaneously unhinges and hits the floor. What? Emmy's finally blushing, rubbing the back of her head ruefully.
Well, it's just that we can't really do what we did last night, you know? It would be a little... It wouldn't be safe, you know? I mean, it wasn't exactly a great idea last night. So, you know, we could try to see if this,
Is this good?
Well, yeah, basically.
So it's basically you risk getting pregnant, or you risk getting a fucking STD. Fantastical. Huh. What?
Careful!
Are you sure about this? I'm positioned behind Emmy, who's looking back over her shoulder, looking a little flushed. Well, obviously once we decided to go ahead with this idea, we had to get back into the mood. That accomplished, we emptied the bottle of lube, and here we are.
Yes, I'm sure. Come on, before I calm down and think too much about this.
Emmy's breathing is still coming a little heavy, and her response is almost impatient. Which is to be expected, I suppose. We're both so close, and this is kind of delaying things. I think we've both gone temporarily insane. At least that's what I'm going to claim from here on out. I try hard not to think about the specifics of what I'm about to get myself into. There's no way this is going to be very clean. You think? You think? Taking a breath that is as much for me as it is for her, I enter slowly. There's a lot of resistance, and it's like both our bodies are reluctant to actually go through with it. Emmy's whole body tenses, and as I'm only partially in by this point, it feels surprisingly good, if a bit odd. Emmy, on the other hand, looks uncomfortable. The expression is almost comical. Should I stop? Emmy's breath hedges in her throat, and it seems to take a few seconds longer than it should to formulate a reply.
No, keep going. It just feels weird.
She giggles. I can't blame her. I'm surprised I even managed to form a sentence. It's hot. It feels exceedingly odd. The lube glistens unnaturally. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I continue to work my way inside her, working slowly and listening carefully to Emmy's breathing. I reach my limit and pause. Emmy looks back again, biting her lower lip.
Are you gonna try moving or just sit there here, or just sit here feeling silly?
No, I just wanted to give you a chance to adjust. This doesn't make any sense. How do we even decide to do this?
I don't even think there's really any adjusting to this, Hisao. Try moving. Maybe it'll feel better?
She sounds doubtful, but certainly unwilling to admit defeat now that we've come so far. I begin a slow motion that seems to work well for both myself and Emmy as she closes her eyes in an attempt to concentrate on this new feeling. As I begin to find a rhythm, I begin to feel that familiar falling away sensation I got yesterday. I close my eyes and try to lose myself in the feeling, except it doesn't seem right. Emmy's not making any noise. I learned very quickly yesterday that Emmy is somewhat less than quiet when she's enjoying herself. As I open my eyes, I see that Emmy's trying to get into things, but it just doesn't seem to be working for her. Her eyes are closed and she's biting her lip, but it doesn't seem to be out of toleration rather than enjoyment. A sort of, well, this is a failure, but hopefully it'll be over soon look. I'm caught in a bit of a situation here. In truth, I don't want to stop, but at the same time, it doesn't seem like it's doing much for Emmy, or if it is, it's coming on far slower than I am. I feel bad. I want Emmy to enjoy this too. I reach one arm around to tease at Emmy's chest, which startles her. This in turn causes her to tighten around me considerably, causing a wave of pleasure to blindside me. My gasp seems to amuse Emmy, but her grin quickly turns into a gasp as I move my other hand casually down her front and begin to stroke gently at the soft patch of hair between her legs. The motion of my own hips increases as my hand's ministrations to Emmy's front bring back the gasps and yelps that I'm used to. I concentrate only on the feelings of my hands, one now slick and sliding, the other on skin soft and responsive, goosebumps on her flesh, shivers and sweats as her own building climax causes her to tighten until finally I can't possibly... No, I can't possibly. Oh my god, Emmy, I'm so sorry, I'm going to... I give a final thrust. My fingers tense around Emmy's nipples, dive between her legs.
What the fuck has this story come to? We went from like, oh hey, here's like a fun little thing where we get to meet all these girls with like, you know, these disabilities and stuff, and now we're having anal with a legless fucking girl in the back of the school shed. What the fuck happened? Emmy's back spasms and she arches up, a high girlish cry that echoes off the walls, and I feel the wave of my own climax annihilate all the other sensations in my body. Emmy's arms give out and she falls forward, rather violently disengaging us and pulling something dear to me in the process. The sudden switch from pleasure to pain causes me to lose balance, and I fall forwards on top of Emmy. Ow! Ow.
I quickly roll off Emmy and prop myself up, breathing heavily and trying to ignore the pain in my crotch. Emmy yelps a little as she rolls over. She grabs a couple of the tissues we kept handy earlier and cleans up before getting her panties back on and awkwardly leaning against the wall. Still breathing heavily, I decide to sit against the wall next to her. The feeling of the cool concrete against my sweating back is a welcome sensation.
That hurt at the end.
Yeah, this was probably not a great idea. Emmy squirms in order to try and sit down beside me without too much pain. Judging by her wincing, it doesn't really work.
Yeah, I'm gonna have words with the captain. He was very clearly lying.
The utter and absolute ridiculousness of the situation suddenly hits, and I begin laughing. Emmy shakes her head and begins laughing with me.
Hey, Hisao.
Yeah?
We're never doing this again, right?
Yeah, I think my curiosity is satisfied on this one. Emmy nods, satisfied.
Good. I think maybe we should just stick to the basics, don't you? I mean, most of this is new to me anyway.
What do you mean, most? Emmy grins impishly.
I'll never tell.
An unpleasant thought strikes me. Even more unpleasant is the thought of having to ask Emmy about it. Still, after what we've just done, it should be a cakewalk. Hey, is there a sink? I kind of like to, wash off a little. Emmy's jaw drops.
In the sink?
Well, there's not really anywhere else to do it, is there? I want to avoid a smell that the nurse might notice. This is the most awkward conversation I've ever had.
You're right. Yeah, it's on the back wall. There might be some soap, too.
Thanks. There is in fact a little hand soap, which is better than nothing. No towel, though. Guess I'll just have to drip dry.
All finished?
Yeah, that'll do for now. It's not like I'm going to go take a shower after we see the nurse.
Glad to hear it. Now help me find my clothes. You tossed them somewhere.
Hey, you were no better. How am I supposed to explain that hole in my shirt, huh?
Sorry, I get a little excited earlier.
It takes some time, but finally we're more or less clothed. There's a frantic moment where neither of us knows where Emmy's wheelchair is, but I recall it going to the door and rescue it.
Now, be more careful going through the door this time, will you? Bumps are not my friend right now.
Yeah, I would imagine, right? I'm so sorry we tried this. Emmy shrugs and grins.
Well, it was worth a shot, right? And anyway, it was good exercise, right?
Can't argue with that. As we make our way up to the nurse's office, I notice that Emmy keeps shifting uncomfortably in her seat.
God, this feels weird. Good thing I'm in a wheelchair, Hisao.
Why's that?
Because now I don't have to explain to the nurse why I'm walking funny.
Oh. We're never doing this again. The nurse is at least kind enough to not comment on the marks that Emmy left on my shoulders. Nor does he say a word about Emmy's constant shifting in her wheelchair. Either he didn't notice, or he didn't want to notice. All the same, I'm going to have to make sure he didn't slip cyanide into my medication for a little while, just to be safe. I shower for longer than usual, just to be sure I'm clean of our little experiment, and then collapse in my bed. Class is in 20 minutes, so I can probably afford a nap. Knock knock. Who's there? Knock knock. That's not how the joke goes at all. Knock knock. I already said who's there. More importantly, what time is it? More importantly, what day? I'm suddenly catapulted into wakefulness by both the fact that the knocking still hasn't stopped and the fact that it's noon, on a school day. Now fully awake, I can remember why I was napping. Better not give that excuse to Mattel. So I wasn't in class, I was experimenting sexually with my girlfriend and it tired me out. Yeah, that'll go over well. I wonder how long this knocking's gonna continue. I guess I gotta answer the door. I'm strangely unsurprised to see Kenji on the other side, though it appears that Kenji is surprised to see me.
What the hell are you doing here, man?
While I was sleeping. Kenji nods in understanding.
Knocked out, I see. I told you to be careful around the Iburazaki chick, man. This sort of thing happens when you aren't cautious.
He makes an attempt to look at the back of my head.
Did she hit you with something? Or was it a drug?
Stop trying to touch me. Kenji produces a flashlight and shines it in my eyes.
You got a concussion?
I wasn't knocked out.
Maybe you just don't remember.
This conversation isn't going anywhere. No, I just had a tiring morning and fell asleep.
Whatever, man. If you want to be in denial about this, I guess I can't stop you. But you gotta watch out for that girl, man. She's not safe.
What?
She's not safe to be around. She's one of their most sinister agents. If you're not careful, there's no telling what could happen. She's brought down stronger men than you know.
What the hell are you talking about? She's not an agent or anything, and she didn't knock me out, okay? I also highly doubt that she's brought down anyone at all. Kenji looks almost offended. I have no idea why.
You don't believe me? That's cold, man. Real cold. I'm just trying to look out for you. That's what friends do, you know.
We're friends? I had no idea. Then again, I wonder if Kenji knows what being a friend even entails. I feel something like pity for him, standing there before me. Maybe he does think he's looking out for me. I know. I'm sorry about that. Thanks for the warning. I hold out my hand as a sign of peace. Kenji shakes it gingerly, like my hand could possibly be on fire. There's an awkward silence for a few seconds before Kenji remembers that he's still shaking my hand.
Anyway, I need a favor.
What kind of favor? I'm out of money.
No, you aren't. You've got money kept in your desk drawer under a black notebook for emergencies.
Did you ransack my room?
That's not important. I don't need money anyway.
He adopts a very serious tone.
I'm about to undertake a major op. It'll blow the whole conspiracy wide open if I'm right. But it's dangerous, so I need you to do something for me in class in case I don't come back.
Sure. Anything. What the hell is he planning on doing? Should I be telling someone about this?
If I go missing, wait here 3 days and then mail my journal off to the newspapers. It's hidden in my room under a false bottom in one of the desk drawers.
How do I get into your room? I don't have a key. Kenji looks at me like I'm crazy.
So pick the lock. You know how to do that, right? It's an important skill to learn at a young age.
Yeah, of course I know. I'll be sure to, do that for you if you go missing. I don't think I want to read Kenji's journal. Either way, Kenji's pretty happy that I've agreed to do this thing for him.
Great, man. Great. I'll see you around. I got stuff to do.
And he's gone, dashing down the hallway. He made it seem so final. I hope I don't have to carry out his final wishes. Shaking my head, I close my door and walk back to my bed. I guess I should go to class, if only catch the last half of the day. But I've come this far without going to class today, and I did want to read more of that hawking book Mr. Matteau lent me. I'm sure he'll understand. More knocking. This time the noise jerks my attention away from my book. An experience not unlike being woken up. Who's there?
Me! Aren't you glad?
The voice is muffled through the door, but unmistakably, Emmy's. I hop up and open the door, smiling broadly. Hey, nice to see you again. Emmy grins back, staring up at me from her wheelchair.
Yeah, you would have seen me earlier, but the damn elevator wasn't working. Had to wait for them to fix it. You'd think they could keep it in better order, but no.
I chuckle a little at her vexed expression and invite her in. She wheels in easily, and with my help, she hops onto my bed.
There, much more comfortable than that stupid chair.
A sigh of contentment hangs in the air, and for a moment, we just both stare at one another. It's at that point that I notice the circles under Emmy's eyes. They're not dark, but they definitely weren't there before. Before I ask about them, Emmy fixes me with a mischievous stare.
So, I couldn't help you when at lunch today. In fact, I don't think I saw you at all. What happened,
Fell asleep? I actually didn't wake up until lunch, and only then because Kenji woke me up.
What had you so tired,
Strenuous workout this morning. Slightly uncomfortable, too. Emmy coughs, a half laughing, half embarrassed noise.
Remind me not to do that again.
No problem. It wasn't exactly great for me either, to be honest. We'll just avoid that from now on. Are you, still sore? Emmy stares at me in disbelief. What? It's a legitimate question.
Of all the questions I never thought I'd be asked, that's one of them.
Well, I never expected to have to ask it, so we're even. Emmy laughs at this.
I guess so, huh? Well, since you ask, yes, I'm still a little sore. We're never doing that again.
No arguments from here. A yawn escapes her and I raise an eyebrow. Tired? Emmy nods sleepily.
Haven't slept well.
Not sleeping well. I can tell that she didn't mean to tell me this earlier, because she gives a little start like she's just been caught lying and hastens to add.
It's not a big deal, though.
What's the trouble? Emmy shrugs and refuses to elaborate. Stressed over exams? Another shrug, but after a pause, Emmy nods hesitantly.
Yeah, I guess. Actually, that's why I stopped by.
She begins to look more and more miserable. Not so you'd notice, of course, but her eyes are on her lap. She's fidgeting and her voice is quiet.
We need to stop hanging out so much.
Huh? Why? Emmy takes a deep breath like she's been practicing this.
Because you're too much fun to be around, and I can't concentrate when you're near me. With exams coming up so soon, I just can't have that distraction. Otherwise, my grades will be pretty lousy, I'm afraid.
I could help you study. She smiles at me, clearly unhappy with the situation.
I'd love if you could do that, but we wouldn't actually study, would we? I mean, even now, I'm trying to have a conversation with you, but I just but I kind of just want to, not converse.
Ah. Overwhelmed by my rugged manliness. I understand. Let me pause here for a second, right? So, my problem with this isn't necessarily the fact that they're having sex. It's just the fact that there's so much of it wanting to be had. A lot of times I feel like this could lead to like a sex-reliant relationship, which is not healthy. And that kind of feels like the way it's going, just because she's repeatedly not wanted to open up to me. And that's pretty much the only way that we've, I guess, expressed love or feelings, just, you know, through sex so far. So that's really my only thing. I mean, yeah, you know, that's... I don't know, that doesn't really seem like a healthy relationship to me, but whatever. That earns me a grin, at least. Emmy shakes her head.
Idiot, you're full of yourself.
Well, I am pretty irresistible.
More or less, I guess. So, that's the situation, Hisao. I have too much fun around you, and if I'm going into exams prepared, I need to be alone.
Hey, that's okay. It really seems to have been bothering her. Besides, it's only a couple of weeks, and we still can see each other in the mornings and at lunch. We can just hang out at school, no problem. And after exams, we'll go on a date to celebrate their being over, okay? Emmy grins, pleased by this proposal.
Yeah, sure. Sounds great.
As if to signal the end of the conversation, she leans in and kisses me. The rest of the night is not spent worrying about exams. Alright, well, that's a good place to wrap that episode up. Ah, this is taking such a turn. It's taking such a turn. Good lord. Okay. What is he saying? Let's save for now. Continue back to my menu, yes. Alright, so some very questionable stuff. You know, I wasn't expecting to start off this episode with anal. I really wasn't. But that seems to be the way things go. But yeah, if you did enjoy it, that'd be awesome if you could leave a like on the video. And if you want to continue this sex-crazed couples relationship, if you want to see how that goes on, then subscribing would be highly recommended. And when I post other videos, then I hope you'll enjoy those as well. But that's going to be it for this time. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.
Don't rain on me.